Hey everybody. Let me do. Is that a good layout? No, that's not a good layout. That's a good layout.
There you go.
Hey everybody. Thanks for being on the show, AJ. We have a great show planned. We're gonna go over my Kickstarter one last time. So it looks like we have about 3 minutes to go. So if anybody is watching and they're like, you know what, I'm undecided about whether or not I'm gonna back it or not. You better make up your mind pretty damn fast.
Do it now.
Exactly. Um. So yeah. So this is the Kickstarter. This is League of Cryptids. Like I said, we have 3 minutes to go. Um. Essentially, it's like the Justice League or the Avengers, but with cryptids instead of superheroes. You have Sasquatch, the Jersey Devil, Mothman, all those guys. We have some positive reviews on the Kickstarter. We have three different covers to choose from, and I did notice somebody like right before we went live. I was looking at the Kickstarter, and somebody literally snuck in like 5 minutes before we ended it, which is good. I mean, I'd rather they sneak in at the last minute than miss it, right?
100%. Are you doing late pledges at all or
Yeah,
okay? Which I learned myself that ends when you launch your pledge manager. I did not realize that.
yeah. But yeah, so this is the Kickstarter. Overall, I feel like people backing stuff on Kickstarter is down in general. At least from my own experience. Obviously that's anecdotal, but from talking to other creators, it does seem like in general fewer and fewer people are going on to Kickstarters and backing um, comic books. So, and I can tell you with my books, I've been through a little bit of a slump, and I have to say this is my best Kickstarter in over a year. So it seems like we're getting out of that slump.
How many have you done?
Oh, how many have I done? I think what like 14 or 15.
Wow. I just
Um,
finished my first, so I'm still learning.
okay, so we have uh, a minute left in the campaign. Let's see if anybody else is going to sneak in here at the very end.
The very last minute, literally.
So, um,
I feel like we should have like party poppers or something, like
yeah, I know.
to
Um,
shoot off fireworks or something.
yeah, sorry for the quiet. I don't have a lot more to say. I kind of feel like if you were going to back the book, you would have by now. So, anybody out there who hasn't backed it yet, you might have to wait until it's in the late pledge.
Which I think opens immediately. So I mean, I think that's okay.
So 8 seconds left. Five, four, three, two, one.
Oh, we get some fireworks and confetti. All right.
We get some digital confetti, anyways.
Well, congratulations. Let me be the first to congratulate you on a successful Kickstarter.
Thank you so much.
I know it's a huge deal. I mean, it was for me. So I know
Right.
a lot of people that would, it's a huge deal. It's a huge accomplishment.
So now we were talking a little bit before the show, and you did say that. Um, oh, before we go any further, I do want to mention the comments. A gentleman named CI, well, however you pronounce that, Um,
How you
say,
doing?
what's that?
Oh, it was saying good evening.
So CI, thank you for joining us. He said he already snuck in a few days ago. Thank you so much. Uh, thank you so much. I appreciate everybody who backed the comic book, but yeah, thank you for letting me know. Um, yeah, it's well. So, what was your? I know you said that you did a Kickstarter. What was what was your experience with it like?
So it was. I set a really modest goal of like $500 because, in my opinion, I was doing the reason I did it, and I've been told it was good and bad. But the reason I did 500 is I'm was printing this book regardless, right? So like,
Right.
I host a podcast with my daughter. We also do interviews, and I was so inspired with all the interviews of creators that I was doing that I guess it was FOMO, right? Fear of missing out. I wanted to create a comic book. And I was watching, TikTok videos with, Stephanie Phillips talking about how she writes her scripts and outlines. I was like, well, I can do an outline. So I wrote an outline and I took a plane ride, it was like a 5 hour plane ride to Seattle and back. And I took the time and just wrote the script and hired an artist because I'm not an artist, unfortunately. But I hired an artist and it was a great experience. Mike Algier from Dork Arts Comics, Dork Art Studios. He's out of New England and he's published his own books and he sent me some fan art and I was like, well, turn it into a cover. He did, and I was like, why don't you just do the whole book? So he did. So I was going through the process just to learn the process, and I was like, all right, I'm going to run a Kickstarter just to learn that process as well. So I had a very modest goal of $500. And I waited until I literally had a finished product in my hand. Like I printed went to the print shop and I actually got to print these myself, a lot of the steps myself,
Oh,
which was really cool. And I'm actually wanting to put together like a little documentary about that whole experience. Because not only did I make a comic, but I literally made the comic. Like, got to hit print on the machine. I got to cut the paper, score the covers, feed it through the binder so it, where it saddle stitched it, folded it, and trimmed the edge. I got to do the whole process, like my hands on, my daughter and I.
wow.
So that was a really cool experience. And I mean, we spent a whole day right before that in the print shop, just picking out paper, like just picking out, just feeling and touching, the papers and getting samples printed and looking at it, be like, it doesn't really look that clear on this kind of paper. Let's try this paper, right? And settled on. We probably went a little too overboard because it's a really good quality thick cover and then some decent, nice paper inside. Probably went a little too overboard on the paper, but it was a really cool experience to be able to do all that. And then I drove home from the print shop and then launched the Kickstarter like the next day. So I have boxes of these books on my floor right now. Uh, so we were able to we'll be able to fill as soon, like mine ended like a week and a half ago. So we got to wait for the money to come in and all the final pledge stuff to finalize, and then we can start shipping probably early next week. Is my maybe late next week. So that was a cool experience.
Yeah. So, well, before we go any further, I did want to mention. Uh, Joe mentioned. I guess he has a new username. This is Joe
Ah,
Bachman. He's a friend of mine. He does the
hey,
Independent Creator Directory. I don't. Have you
okay.
ever heard of that?
I have not. I saw it show up I actually wrote it down already. I want to check that out.
Yeah. So if you want to be the Independent Creator Directory is basically like the IMDb, but for independent creators, not just comic book creators, but also like board game creators, role playing game creators. Uh, and Joe's switched over to the Indie CD account,
Yeah, there we go.
but yeah, basically it you you, you have to check it out because there's a lot of cool creators.
100%.
I think it's back up and running. It was taken down for a little bit just because Joe wanted to work on some of the code, but I think it's back up now. Um, And yeah, it's a cool little thing. Talk to Joe about to get on how to get a account with the Independent Creator Directory.
Yeah, I
Anyways,
definitely will that. I will definitely will reach out to him. Independent Creative Directory.
so the things that I wanted to say about that story you told is that's neat that you got to see the the comic book come together like that.
Yeah, it was a really cool experience, you know, from start to finish, from writing the script to finding an artist to working with the artist and then getting pages back, which I think everybody talks about this, but when you see something come back as you know, even on digital, my phone, I get pictures from the artist or pages and it's like, man, I wrote this, but he like just brought it to life. And then I've seen those pages hundreds of times with just going over it and then doing the layout and doing everything hundreds of times. You're looking at these pages. And then the first one comes off the machine and it's like, oh my God, it looks even better in person. Right. And
Yeah.
I, I'm very fortunate. I have a friend who owns a print shop in Traverse City, Michigan. So it was a little bit of a drive because I'm in North Carolina.
Okay.
So I actually ended up being in DC, went through Pittsburgh, where you're at, to get up there. Um, Spent the night in Pittsburgh actually before we drove the rest of the way to Michigan. And literally, like I said, the next day we got up and we spent the whole day in the print shop. I can actually show you 1 second. The, this is the actual stack of
Wow.
paper and samples that we went through on that first day of just picking out the type of paper we wanted for the cover and the interior, seeing how it looked on the actual paper, right? And you know, he was gonna just throw it away. So I was like, well, I'll keep that. I'll go to a museum one day. And
That's awesome.
so we spent the whole day just going through paper. And once we finally, you know, settled on the paper, he ordered it. Next morning we showed up and, you know, we actually got to hit print on the machine and watch it come out the other end and transport it to the cutter to, you know, cut it to the right size and then score the covers and then feed them all in to the machine that, you know, like I said, bound them and trimmed them and folded them. And it was really cool. So I got to feed all the copies, all except like the first couple. I got to feed them through the machine. And one of the cool things I did is I had a, you know, I had a couple different artists do covers. We had three different. We did 7 covers. It was crazy. But I did this cover. Excuse me. This is the A cover. We did Mike Elju did. So the first one off the machine of this cover, I actually saved, put a note on it, and I sent it to Mike. Right. So he has the first one off the machine of his cover. And I did the same thing for Colin Hawkins. That's Enough Said Books. He did this Thor homage cover because I'm a Thor fan, if you can't tell from half my background. Um, he made a Thor homage cover of a like the Journey into Mystery 83, the first appearance of
Yeah.
Thor. He actually just sent me like our mascot, Panel Pete. That's what the, you know, Chronicles of Panel Pete's the name of the book. So he's kind of like our podcast mascot, but he lives in a comic book. And but he sent me this. It's just a black and white sketch of our mascot like as Thor. And I was like, dude, you have to turn that into a cover. And he's like, all right. So I paid him to turn it into a cover, gave him some author copies and stuff. And again, I gave him the first one off the machine of, you know, of his cover. And then of course the one up here, right here, that's the first one off the machine of my cover. So it's kind of cool to be able to, you know, save those moments. And we recorded the whole process. Kind of like we did. We just had an iPad, like just on a tripod, and I just kept moving it around the shop as we were doing different things. And so I really do want to turn that into like a mini documentary of like the whole journey of creating like scenes from the podcast, like talking about, oh, it'd be cool to write one, you know, use some social media clips and stuff, but then actually go through the process and show the video of us making the comic. I think that'd be a kind of cool thing, and you don't see a lot of that. So I think it'd be something a little different.
Right.
So
Yeah, I mean, it's cool because, I mean, the thing that's funny is, whenever I'm finished with a comic book, I email it to um, the printer, and after that, I kind of have no idea what happens after that. But you actually got to see um, the whole the whole kind of process, right?
right, and like just spending that 6 hours picking out paper, right? Like think of how much time that would have been if I was doing that remotely, right? Like send a sample 2 3 days, right? Go through it. I don't like this paper, right? This I want something different. And he said, again, order another one. It would have taken weeks and weeks to get that done. So I was very fortunate to be able to go and pick out the paper and then be there when it was running and then just put them in the trunk of my car and drive home. Right. So it was pretty cool. And we're actually going back up there the end of May for a convention. Their local convention in Traverse City, and it'll be cool because they're gonna have a booth as well to show
Are you
off their
talking about
printing.
Are you talking about Comics Wellspring?
It is not Wellspring. See, yeah. Sorry, I should have clarified. You're the second person that thought that because they are in Michigan as well. No, he owns a franchise of Allegra Printing. Allegra Printing can be all over the place, or are all over the place, but he owns an individual franchise of Allegra Printing that's in Traverse City, Michigan. He worked for them beforehand. The owner wanted to retire, so he bought the business and is running it. And I'm trying to support him as much as I can.
Cool. So now, how did you hear about this printer, if you don't mind me asking?
Friend of a friend, basically. It's like one of my best friends. It was a friend of his that he grew up with. And we played online games together over the last few years, or for several years. Never met him. And then about 3 years ago, I think, maybe four, we actually all met up in New York, Buffalo, New York. The three of us, my best friend, and then Chris, uh, and I met in New York and hung out for a weekend. And then, yeah, so he bought the business, I think, just over a year ago, maybe two. And always trying to support him, send him anytime I need something printed, I send to him, trying to support him versus going to Staples or, Office Max or any other printer. So I always try to support him. And then when the idea of the comic came, I called him up. It's like, Chris, I was like, can you print my comic book? And he's like, absolutely. So
Now, was he able to give you a good price? I mean,
he
I
was
know,
for sure. I mean, he
I know.
probably gave me a little bit better price than he probably would anybody else, outside because we are friends and stuff. And it was, but it's pretty close. For the quality that I got of paper and everything, I'm under $3 a book for a small print run, which is really
Oh,
good.
okay,
So,
that's good.
but it's probably going to be more like four, probably for somebody else would be my guess.
Okay,
Um, but I've sent a few people to get quotes, and they've been close depending on the print run. Like if you're getting like 10,000, he's not going to beat an offset printer, right? If you're getting 25, he's pretty dang close, if not better, than somebody like Comic Wellsprings or whoever. I don't know for a fact, but
yeah.
I know there was somebody in a group chat a few days ago talking about pricing, and I was like, man. So I sent Chris a note to see what he could do. I haven't heard back from him yet, but I'll see him. Talk to him tomorrow night. But I've been trying to send people there as much as possible. Just to get a quote, because there is a number depending on how many you're printing that he's going to be better pricing for sure.
Right. It. I mean, it's so hard finding the right printer.
Oh
Printing in general is so expensive. It's gotten so much more expensive in the last 2 or 3 years.
yeah, 100%.
Um, yeah. So, did you want to talk at all about? Oh, I should mention before we go any further, uh, Joe did say that
Ooh,
the independent creator directory is back up and running.
awesome.
So I did want to mention that.
I will
Now,
definitely check that out.
cool. Now, um, did you want to talk at all about? I mean, we talked a lot about the printing process. Did you
Mhm.
want to talk about the comic book itself?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, so it's a fun little story. It's a truly the main selling point I think for this book is it's a truly all ages comic book. It's a fun story. Billy, little boy Billy in school, getting bullied, goes to a comic shop. Panel Pete lives in so the whole purpose of this cover, I have to explain some people that don't know comic shops. Every comic shop usually has a dollar box, right? So this is like a comic box. See, I'm a graphic designer, so I did this. I attempt to do graphic design.
Nice.
um, but it's funny. People that don't know comic shops are like, "Why'd you put $1 on it?" And I'm like, "Well, it's a dollar box. The price is actually, in the corner. It's $6.99." So, um, but Panel Pete lives inside a comic book, right? So Billy goes to a comic shop after school, discovers, the comic in a comic box, uh, buys the comic, puts it in his backpack, goes home. Panel Pete, without really realizing, that Pete's alive in his comic book or, in his book, he just kind of helps him overcome being bullied, right, in the story. And then my favorite panel at the very end, I'm going to give it away, but I don't care. My favorite panel at the end is, Billy's turning the comic book back in to the comic shop to help somebody else, right?
Yeah.
So it's a fun little all ages, truly all ages story. One of the coolest things about the whole book and the whole project, in my opinion, and I'm trying to find a good example of it in here that's big enough to show. Yeah, here we go. So being inspired by the comic community to write this comic to start with, and with part of my comic book being set inside a comic shop, one of the decisions we had to make was what are the comics that are on the wall in the comic shop,
Okay.
right? And I was like, so my artist and I were kind of going back and forth, and I was like, what if we used people's books that have been on the podcast? So we've done
Yeah.
107 episodes, right? At that time, probably like 70 episodes. So, like you can see here, if I can show it, like the books that are on the shelf that he's jumping around trying to read are people's books that I've had on the podcast. So, and then they're listed all in the I made a little acknowledgement page in the beginning where they're all listed. So we had like 22 different people offer up their titles or their covers to be put inside the book. So I thought it
Oh,
was a
I didn't
really
even
cool.
think about the fact that you would have to get permission
Yeah.
before.
So I asked everybody that I interviewed, I was like, during that time when we were, in the middle of the art, of course, my artist, he put most of his books in there. Stephanie Phillips allowed me to put Grimm in there, which was really cool. The Homebrew Comics guys, um, the Invader Comics people, a lot of them put stuff in here. So it was just a cool process, and I'm hoping I can continue that on, right? And the other little Easter egg in here is the scene where he actually picks out the comic. So right here, you can see he's picking out the comic out of the box. And we had to have a huge discussion about with my artists. We're like, what's the cover that he actually lives in, right? Like, what's the book that when he picks it out, that's the book that he lives in? So we settled on like we're gonna do like a medieval type story next. And the cool thing about him being, the mascot, he can be in any setting, he can be in any world, in any kind of timeline, right? So there's no like he's not stuck in like, today or something in a certain timeline. So we're going to do a medieval story where like this wizard, like a student wizard's trying to create something and accidentally like creates him in a spell book. and that's going to be like the origin story of Panel Pete. So that's what the cover in the book is that he actually picks up. That'll be actually the next issue that we do.
Oh, okay, I get it.
So that was kind of a cool, little Easter egg in here in the
So now,
book.
how far along are you into the production of issue 2?
I've got the outline, and I'm still, I mean, I'm in script right now, like a little bit, maybe 20% done a script. So it's going to be a little bit. I'm still wanting to wrap up, I've got to wrap up the Kickstarter with the pledge manager, I think in the next week. I think that all ends.
So you're mailing them out?
Yep. So I'll do all the mailing and everything. Like I said, I have 3 boxes on the floor here full of comics. So
So were you happy with how the Kickstarter turned out?
I was. We ended up with just over $1,000. So that was, in my opinion, when I hit the 500, I was super excited. Right. I don't know if that's the correct thing to do. Should I have? Because obviously I have more than $500 in printing and artwork and everything else. I don't know if that was the right thing to do, to just put such a low number, or if I should have put my actual like cost. But in my opinion, it was, I'm printing the book anyway. I'm gonna have so many copies. I'm going to shows. Like I have shows the next 2 Saturdays that will be set up. And it's a way for me to market the podcast because we have, of course, an ad for the podcast. And the book's kind of really tied to the podcast too. But we have an ad for that with me and my daughter. And there's actually, the name of the comic shop is like Talking Comics Shop or something, right? So I thought it turned out fine. I was really happy. I was surprised with there were several people that backed the project for no reward. And that took me back. That that was hard for me to wrap my head around. Like, why
Now,
would
were
people
these
do
friends of
that?
yours, or were they people you
Some
didn't know?
were, some weren't. Some were, other creators that just wanted to support us, right? Um, it was very weird. There was a few people I didn't know, which was really cool. Um, I was just shocked by the amount of people that backed it for no reward. Like, at least it's $7 for back it for $7, and or if you're going to give me $20, buy the comic, right? Get something out of it. But hey, that's cool. I appreciate them, doing that. So I was happy with $1,000. Um, it will help go towards, printing costs for the next one, or artwork for the next one. And then we got our website now, so everything's live on our website, and then we'll sell it at shows and stuff. I don't expect we're gonna sell, like, we've done a couple shows and we've sold like 7 at one show, 11 at another one. That's not even breaking even on the table, really, but
Yeah.
it's more of a marketing expense, right? And it pays for our lunch, right, or gas to get there. But that's how
Now,
I had to look at it.
do you bring a notepad with you and write down people's email addresses?
I do, and I have like a QR code there where they could scan and join like a Substack, or to get their emails and stuff for like future Kickstarters.
That's the big thing. The emails are almost more important than
The sales,
the sales,
100%.
in my opinion. So now you mentioned that this comic book started because you were doing a show. Do you want to tell me about that?
Yeah. So my daughter and I have a comic podcast. It's called Talking Comics with no G. It's Talking Comics. Because apparently there's already a Talking Comics, and I didn't realize it. And I never thought it was going to get as, I mean, we're not big by any means, but I never thought it was going to get as far as it did, or it has, and it's still growing, and it's amazing, and I love it.
Cool.
But the origin story of that is, I was doing a podcast for my day job, or tasked with starting a podcast in my day job, and it's on long-term development and all kinds of other things that, like, my daughter's never going to have the chance to be a guest on that show. And
Right.
she came in my office one day and she's like, I want to be on your podcast. I'm like, oh, it's never going to happen. She's like, well, I want to do something. I was like, all right, we'll pick something. We'll do one because I want to learn how to do it anyway. And the other day one was very corporate, so it's so many layers of approval. It takes weeks to get anything put out. And I was getting a little frustrated with that because I'm not. I want to get it out, right? I want to do it. And so she had discovered, so back about 4 months before that, our birthdays are 2 days apart. So her and I went to, I always take a couple days off and we just go and do fun stuff. And we found ourselves in a comic book game store. And she found a comic book, a Harley Quinn comic of all things. And she come up and she's like, "Hey, what is this?" I'm like, "It's a comic book." She's like, "Can I get it?" I'm like, "Yeah, get a couple of them, pick a couple of them out." And so we go, and the next day she read them and she's like, "These are really cool. Like they're like stories." And I'm like, "Yeah." And she was struggling with her reading at the time. So anytime she wanted anything to read, I would, whatever it was, take it,
Yeah.
get it, right? And so literally like I think 2 days later, because that was on her birthday. So on my birthday, we found ourselves in another comic shop and I think I bought her like 30 more comics.
Oh wow.
And just because if she's gonna read them, I want her, you know, have all you want. And so then a couple months later, she wanted to do a podcast. She's like, "Well, let's do something together." I was like, "Well, pick something." She's like, "Well, let's do comics." I'm like, "Sure." I've always been a comic fan. Read them when I was a kid, a little bit when I was a kid. Uh, but I owned a little game store hobby shop about 15 to 10 years ago. And I had a few comics, like a little rack. I didn't have like a wall of them. I just had a rack of them. And I got a few for myself and I'd read them. They were cool, but I didn't expect to like dive in like we are now. And I was like, all right, let's start. So I set up a table, threw up an iPad, and we did an episode. And we had so much fun. I was like, well, let's do another one. So we just started doing them once a week. And then I think Jeff Haas, right?
Yeah.
Um, Jeff reached out to me out of nowhere. Like we had like 7 or 8 episodes. And I get this email from Jeff out of nowhere. And it's like, hey, would you interview somebody? And I was like,
He
okay,
does
yeah.
that with me too.
Right. Like I had no idea. Like I'd never done an interview. I mean, 3 months prior to that, I never wanted to be on camera or talk either. So like this is all new to me. And I was like, well, I'll try it. So it ended up being Chris Saloff from Homebrew Comics. And I did it. And I felt like it went well. I asked Chris after, like, how do you think? He's like, oh, dude, this was great. I was like, all right, cool. And so he sent me a few more. And then I started reaching out to other people. And yeah, now I'm booked till like August. I think it's my first available mid-August is my first available slot. So it's crazy. Um, I never expected it to get to that and to be a lot of fun and enjoy it as much as we have. So we're doing 2 episodes a week. My daughter and I do one that we release every Friday or Saturday, where we just play fun games and talk about our weekly polls and, you know, no real deep dive stuff, just fun chat kind of thing. And then I do an interview once a week and release that. Like that'll come out tomorrow on Tuesday. Every Tuesday, we release a new interview episode, conversation episodes, what I call them. And then yeah, so I do 2 episodes a week, and now we're at like tomorrow's 107 that comes out. It's insane. And then, like I said, led to me doing the comic book. Now we're doing conventions, and we're growing it, and see what happens. And side note, the best part about the whole process, I get to do it with my daughter, right?
I was gonna
And
say
then,
this sounds like a really good bonding.
100%. I mean, my daughter and I get to go to conventions together. We get to just hang out. We go to the comic shop once a week, to get our pulls. And her reading has skyrocketed. Like her reading level, like her ability to read has just skyrocketed, all because of comic books. So it's like, a lot of people talk bad about, like, oh, it's just a few words per page, but don't matter what you're reading, it's the fact that you read which makes you get better at reading.
Uh, Hey, listen, man. In a world, the statistic that I heard, and who knows if it's true or not, I heard that 1 out of 7 adults will never read a book again after they graduate from high school.
Yep.
If that's even close to being true, I mean, I feel like it can't possibly be true, but even if that's close to being true, I say don't judge people for what type of books they're reading, whether it's audiobooks, whether
Yep.
it's comic books, whether it's smut. It, as long as people are reading, we need to pat them on the back, right?
That's been the coolest thing for me too, because I was part of that statistic for a long time. I'm not a fan of reading. Was never a fan of reading. I
Oh,
would
really?
never go pick up a book. Like I'd read a comic book here and there. You read articles on the computer or phone, right? I'd read that, but like to go to a bookstore and buy like a novel, not me. Not gonna do it. I read a couple books, different jobs I've had, they make you read like leadership books or something like that. I'd read some of that. Even then I'd struggle. Like one chapter a week if you're lucky. But now I'm on this Thor journey, right? So I'm a huge Thor fan. So a few months, or actually, yeah, right before like December, I said, all right, I'm going to read every Thor there like is. And I'm gonna start at the beginning. I'm gonna start at Journey into Mystery 83, and I'm gonna read a Thor a day until I'm done. And I'm on 210 or 211 tonight. And I've been buying, like you can see behind me here, like I've been buying like the Epic Collection books and the Epic Collections and the omnibuses. So I'm on volume 4 omnibus right now. So, and I just read every one a night before I go to bed. I just read one issue, and that's been huge. Like I can tell my readings got improved, and I'm 44.
See, yeah. I mean, you find it relaxing?
I do. I find it enjoying. I'm enjoying because they're short to me, right? They're short. It's not a lot of reading. I don't
Yeah.
know. Stan Lee can put some words in a comic book. Let me tell you, those early Thor issues were pretty wordy, but they were only like 17 pages, right? Or 12 pages even on the early ones. Now they're getting to be like 20 to 22 pages. We just switched over where Stan and Jack stopped writing around 195. Um, Gary Conway, I think. Don't quote me on that. Uh, the new is the writer that picked up after Stan. Um, some are, shorter words, some are not, but I find it relaxing, and I'm learning a lot about Thor that I didn't know because most of my Thor, came from the movies and the shows and stuff like that. Um, Not a lot from the old. It's nice to read the old stuff, right? To see the origin of how it all came to be. And Odin by far is my favorite.
Yeah. I
Most of the
mean,
time. He gets to be a little bit of a douchebag sometimes, like right now, but
those comic books are so fun. I mean, nobody was trying to make great literature or anything. They were
right.
just trying to make good stories that were fun. Um, yeah.
It was
Um,
really cool to see, like, because like right now, like issue 210, it's like mid 70s, right? When it was created. So you can definitely see some parallels in the writing to what's happening in the world at the time, which is kind of neat. Uh, I have enjoyed, being a little bit of a history buff, like World War II and all that. Like you see those influences, I guess is the best word for it.
yeah. So Dan is. I guess Dan is the opposite of those people who never read at all in their life. He says that he's bought over 20,000 books in his lifetime, and he's always buying more. He said he has trouble finding shelf space for my comics. Um, yeah, I mean, I've always been a big reader. I'm glad that you were able to get your daughter into reading. Um, I tried getting my kids into comic books. Um, I couldn't do it, unfortunately. Um, I don't know if it's just the whole thing of like, oh, if dad likes this, it can't be cool.
Right.
Um, I don't know. Um, I
Yeah,
mean,
I've been very fortunate in that, she found it, she discovered it. Anything that I've tried to make her do or get her to do or to try, like it never works, right? But she found this. We just happen to be in a game store because we do play, I've got shelves and shelves of board games. And we play games together. So I'm always in a game store trying to find another game to play. And she saw them. And I mean, I got very fortunate that this is something, this even my whole show, my whole podcast, everything about this is all because of her. This was all her. She's the one that's the catalyst to start the whole thing and, get it going. I joke and say I'm just the co-host and the producer. She's the star of the show.
yeah, it seems like you and your daughter have like a really great relationship. Which
We do for sure.
how old is she?
She's 11. I also have a 25-year-old
Oh,
daughter. I don't want to leave her out. Well, 24. She'll be 25 soon. Um,
okay.
so I have a 24-year-old daughter. Her thing was golf. So when she was, 15 to 20, I did 5 years of nothing but golf with her. Um, and then, you know, now my youngest daughter, Annika, she's 11. Now she's just, I'm doing this is what she wants to do. This is what I'm supporting her in this. And she's really discovered cosplay too. So she has a Harley Quinn cosplay she does, and she's gotten a couple third places at the last couple conventions. So that's even motivated her even more to just be a part of this community. And knock on wood, it's been very welcoming to her. That was something a lot of people don't realize. I don't think we struggled hard with my oldest daughter. Golf is not a welcoming community for women
Oh, really?
or girls, especially young girls. It wasn't 10 years ago. It was not. It's getting better. Um, but even the comic space and some, there are some issues, with women writers and women this and women that. But I'm a big advocate for women because I have, I've have two of them, right?
Right.
So it's really cool. Her experience has been very welcoming and, a very good experience. And I'm trying to protect that too. Like, because I don't want her like being at the table all day for 3 days. Like she'll get burnt out and I do not want that at all. So we do, an hour a week of the show. We go to a convention. I bring somebody else, my wife or somebody that can take her. She can go roam around the show, do what she wants and just come to the table every couple hours, spend some time at the table. Or she goes and cosplays and she really enjoys the cosplaying too.
So Dan is saying that he turned his oldest girl onto reading, and she says that she wants his library when he's gone. And I tell her that she'll have to outlive me. Oh boy.
She's almost 60. That's crazy. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Hey, I know people that love reading and love, that's awesome. I wish I could read more novels and felt like I had the time to do that. And when you break it down by a chapter a day or chapter a week or something, you definitely can. I have no excuse other than I'm reading a Thor issue a day. That's what I'm doing right now, anyway. On top of my to read pile of my weekly pulls that's almost in view over here behind me.
Yeah, my to be read pile is gigantic too. Um, I mean, every time I go to a convention, I'll meet a nice writer, and I feel like I want to support them, and I have to buy. And then I'll think like, oh my god, my pile of books to be read. Right now, it's 2 boxes, and it's just getting bigger. So
Yeah, I think mine's filled a short box and then it's piled almost as tall as a short box on top of it right now. I need to go up to 2 a day and start breaking into that.
So AJ, I think I
Yeah.
mentioned I'm working a lot this week because I'm working on the draft, the
Yep.
NFL draft. I think I'm gonna cut. We usually like to do an hour show, but I think I'm gonna
Sure.
cut it a little bit early just because I have to be up super early tomorrow.
No worries.
Um, Thank you again for being on the show. Um, if you ever need guests, I know you said you're booked
Yeah.
until August, but
Just
uh,
reach out to me, or the link is on our website too. Just talkingcomics.com.
yeah, I did
Um,
share the
oh, did
the
you?
link.
Okay.
I will share it again though,
Yeah,
just
that's
to
just
make
the
sure
link to
people.
the comic page, but it's our website. So there is a book link on the website you can go to. If you need to get on earlier, I am trying to build in a flex week a month um, to accommodate some people that you know need to get on a little bit quicker. So always just reach out to me. And yeah, thanks for having me, and check out the book. Truly all ages, something for everybody. So
Thank you so much, sir. Have a
thank you.
wonderful rest of your evening.
You as well.
Thank you, everybody who watched. Dan says he's glad that he got to interact a little bit. Well, we will be back next week too, Dan. So you can check that out then too. Thank you, everybody. Good night.